everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amira, and I am so excited to bring you a new series for 2018. Following my last series in 2017 where I did 12 gorgeous layouts, I decided to go ahead and continue the gorgeous theme, but this time in 2018 use my minis. So what I'll be doing is I have made my own, I guess, art journal, and I made it out of watercolor paper. I have a video where I made this myself, and I thought I'd use one where I made it from my own stash so that I could inspire you guys to go ahead and make your own journals rather than go out and buy an expensive journal. So I use 300 GSM watercolor paper because if you followed me last year, you'll know that I used the wrong booklet and my art journal kind of fell apart, but it was still good. But I definitely had to make sure that I used the correct paper this time. So I'm going to leave the link on how to make one of these journals down below. So I am inviting you to join me in 2018. This is why I'm using the hashtag my watercolor art journal 2018, because we're going to be using the art journals that we make, and I'm going to grab one of these mini stamps, one of these gorgeous mini stamps every month, and I'm going to just make a beautiful spread. So go ahead and grab your gorgeous mini stamp and let's start making a beautiful, gorgeous layout. So I am going to start off today's cover with this pretty girl, and this stamp is called Found My Family in a Book. And look how little she is, really, really cute and small. So bringing in my protective mat, and the colors that I have chosen for the cover of this art journal are these like yellows and oranges and light orange and hot pink, and I've also got a little bit of gesso there as well. Really important to use gesso. It just makes your colors more bright. I'm also putting in some wax paper between the cover and the first page and the cover and the last page, so that it doesn't stick together. That's really important. And the gesso goes on really like light, like a brush, brushing it on. Now I am going to tackle my art journal this year using Shannon Green's I think she calls it journaling by fives. So the first step in her process is to add color. And all I'm doing here is I'm using a credit card, and it's just the addition of colors. So I'm using the lightest color first, and then I'm using like a mango, which is a darker yellow. I use that with the credit card and just applying color, not thinking about it. Then I'm going in with this third color, which is the like a little bit of like orange, adding it on with a brush and really lightly. I'm then adding this last darker orange color, and I'm adding it on again with this Hog's really stiff bristle round brush. It's really, really dark for me, so I grab some white acrylic paint and I just take it back just a little bit. I then go back and add a little bit of yellow to make it a little bit more bright, because I thought I lost a little bit of the yellow through all the mango and the orange and the dark orange. And here I just spilled a whole lot of white acrylic paint, so I'm kind of smoothing it into the background, but I kind of go over in a little bit because here we go. You kind of lose the edges of the credit card, and I wanted it to be a little bit more edgy and not so smooth and soft. I wanted it to be a little bit edgy and grungy. And I like seeing a little bit of white space. My challenge this year is to do some white space So the second stage in Shannon's process is to add stenciling or stamping. I'm using the last color, which is the darkest color for me, to stencil through this punchinella, which is the greatest thing someone sent me a long time ago. This is also a Kaiser grid stencil, and I'm using the second darkest color, which is that orange, to add some grid, but I don't really like how it turns out. It doesn't matter, it's no big deal, but I stopped using it because I don't think it was doing too much. I grabbed my distress ink and I have in Picket Fence, and I have this script stamp. It's not doing much on the yellow, but it's doing some really cool things on the dark punchinella stencil, so that looks really cool. And so I reverse it and I use the pickled raspberry distress oxide and I put that on the yellow background, and that looks really cool. So I really like how that turns out. Just adding texture. Now I've got this arrow stamp and I'm using pickled raspberry again. I didn't like how it didn't stamp all the way here, and I'm going to try to rectify it and actually stuff it up. So I hate this. I totally hate how it's like gone off the page and it's not straight. So I quickly, because distress oxide, I quickly like smudge it, and I don't like that. So I add some is that gesso? It is gesso, and I totally take that away. So then now my page looks awful. So then I add some yellow to try to blend it, take it back to the background. And then all I need to do here is just to make sure that the paint is dry before I add some stamping on it. Here we go. And then I'm going to add that hot pink through the punchinella, and you would never guess that I'd made a mistake with that arrow stamp. So if you make a mistake and you don't like it, you can definitely rectify it. Just go back a couple of stages and repeat. Put the gesso on and repeat. It works a charm. So now I'm just adding some this scrolly stamp that I had, just adding one more element. Okay, so the third step in Shannon's art journaling is to add kind of a collage element, and for that I chose washi tape. You could add tissue paper or other scrapbooking paper, but I thought I'd use washi tape. I've got a couple different ones here. I'm trying not to use any black, but I thought it would be really cool to bring in black that's on washi tape, so I use a couple of different ones that have black, and it looks so good, the contrast. I chose the colors yellow and orange and pink because they're bright and they're happy, and I really love that as a theme of starting the new year. And so I thought it would be really cool to have a little bit of black to really accentuate the happy colors, and I'm just layering them on top of each other. The next thing I'm doing is, because washi is not very sticky, this is gel medium here, and I'm just adding gel medium on top of the washi so that it is down for life. So it's sealed and it's glued and it's not budging, it's not curling, it's not going anywhere. The next thing I do is grab some white acrylic paint. Make sure that that's dry, and then I grab some white acrylic paint, and I am just going to take back that fresh, crisp color of the washi tape. The journal itself looks quite like grungy and cohesive, and then I added the washi tape and you could see the starkness. It was all crisp and clean and white, and it just looked off. So by adding just a smudging of the gesso on top of it, or the white paint, sorry, it really takes it back and it incorporates it into the cover. Now see how see how I'm peeling it off the wax paper here? That would be 2 pages stuck together. So make sure that you definitely use wax paper in between your pages when you're doing your mixed media. Make sure that that is really dry. And now it's time to work on the Gorjuss Girl, because this is a Gorjuss Girl art journal after all. So I'm just stamping her here. Look how little she looks. She's so cute. And then I'm going to be using my watercolors to color her in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some music on now and let you enjoy this part. after I color her in, I cut her out, and look how little she looks, and also look how from the color scheme that I chose, she almost blends into the background, which is not so good. So I grabbed some vellum here, which is a really pretty one by Dear Lizzie of clouds, sky and clouds, and I really love it. So what I'm doing is it's just going to be enough to layer her and hopefully add another element to the front of the journal. I'm using, it's usually easier to incorporate torn edges than it is to incorporate straight edges. And what I should have done here was actually use gel medium all the way through. I am about to do that now. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to add gel medium just to stick her down and to make sure that there are no edges peeking out there. The reason why I'm using my fingers is because I have ruined so many paintbrushes. So from now on, whenever I use gel medium, I'm not using any of my paintbrushes. Fingers can get washed and they're not going to get damaged. And make sure that gel medium is nice and dry. Now, I noticed that the edges were really stark. So what I tried to do here was I tried to just blend them into the background by putting some gesso on there, but the gesso maybe highlighted it more than I thought it would. It incorporated it as in there were no edges, but the whiteness or the brightness of the gesso I didn't like so much, so I left it for here. I do go back later and I do try to fix it. So the fifth stage in Shannon's journaling process is to add the finishing touches. Now I chose this girl because as soon as I saw her, I imagined her to be holding a banner that said 2018. So I found this little alpha stickers by Julie Nutting, and they were just the perfect size of the little doll cut aparts that she's holding up. So I've make sure that she's holding 2018, and for the extra bits I just add an exclamation mark and 2 stars. It worked out so perfect. I'm just going to cut down the star a little bit so it fits in that last one by her hand, and then I decided to do it on that first one there. I thought, yeah, why not do it with that one too? So I use some PVA glue here, stick that down. I love this. It's so cute. She is so gorgeous. So then what I decided to do was add my word for 2018 to the front of this art journal. My word for 2018 is going to be evolve. I have got so many new things starting in 2018. I am hoping to take a lot of things to the next level. I'm also really proud of being 40 this year, and it's going to be, the next 40 years is going to be the greatest ever. So I'm really looking forward to a great year next year, or this year in 2018. I use these Resist chipboard by, I think it's Dear Lizzie, and I've got some Diane Reevely ink here, and you know how these things are, you know, they're so bright, they're amazing. So I decided to use a paintbrush because I thought if I got a drop of that or a spray of that onto anything, it's just going to stain. So I used my paintbrush and that looks really good, and I rubbed off the rest to give that Resist look. I love these chipboards. I've got this Pico embellisher, and okay, so I decided to just add a little bit of a border around her, but I kind of went crazy, and I don't like what I did with that second squiggle. And I thought, oh, I have ruined this. And I know that if I try to smear it, it's just going to be a black mess. So I half panicked, half tried to rein it in. So I went through my stash and looked for some puffy stickers. And I thought that, okay, so here, this is what I'm doing. The white that I didn't like, I decided to take it away with, this is frayed burlap in Distress Oxide, and I'm just going in around her and just adding a little bit of darkness, and it actually looks so much better, and it incorporates with the yellow background a lot better. I'm using my finger to smudge it in areas where I thought it was too much. And here we go. So I grabbed my puffy stickers, and I go over some of the bits that really ruined it. That arrow saved my life. And then up the top, I'm going to cover those extra blobs with just a few stars and some hearts, and I'm so happy with this now. You can't make a mistake. So I'm really pleased with my cover. Here are a few pictures. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video.